These are the materials you need to study if you want to pass your CAPM exam this year. Everything I'm sharing is based on what I've used to personally pass my CAPM exam above target in all domains. If we're meeting for the first time, hi there, my name's Alvin and I'm an engineering project manager. I graduated from the University of California, San Diego as an engineer and eventually pivoted into project management by becoming CAPM, PMP, PMI ACP, and Scrum Master certified. I'm here to help you land your next job in project management without feeling stressed out so that you can earn the income that you deserve. This video is not sponsored. Everything I'm sharing is based on my real experience having become CAPM certified. Since PMI is planning to release the newest version of the PMBOK Guide 8th edition by the end of this year, that means that the CAPM exam will likely change sometime next year to incorporate this new PMBOK Guide. And so I want to encourage you to take your exam sooner rather than later so you don't have to go through the hassle and the frustration of having to learn new material that might be covered with the new exam. My advice, do everything you can to take your CAPM exam in the next few months and get it over with. So the CAPM exam tests your knowledge based on what's inside PMI's most latest exam content outline. So you're tested across 4 domains. 36% covers the fundamentals in project management. 27% covers business analysis, 20% covers the Agile framework, and then you have the remaining 17% which covers the predictive approach. So before you get any resources that I recommend, make sure you print out a copy of the exam content outline. Go through every single line in that document and focus on studying all the concepts that are inside. Now, once you have your exam content outline, the very first resource that you need to study to pass your CAPM exam is a CAPM exam prep course. The best starter course which can help you get there further and faster at a much more affordable rate is Joseph Phillips' CAPM exam seminar through Udemy. At the time of this recording, it has a rating of about 4.7 out of 5 stars with more than 100,000 people taking it. I've been using Udemy for many years, and you can usually find this course for between $10 to $20-ish when it goes on sale. So check out all the links down below so you can see exactly which course I recommend. I can personally vouch for Joseph Phillips' course because it's the exact course that I used to pass my CAPM exam and meet all of the 23 required hours of education that PMI wants you to have. There's a lot of content in the course, but what I love the most about the way Joseph Phillips teaches it is that he does it in a very calm and relaxing way with how he presents the material. And at the end of each lesson, he has this catchphrase of keep moving forward, which I personally found really motivating when you're tired and you don't have as much energy after work, but you know that you have to keep watching the video lesson. In the course, Joseph Phillips covers everything that's inside the exam content outline. So project life cycles, planning, the predictive approach, adaptive approach, and everything regarding business analysis. Because it's a lot of material, I recommend going through the lessons faster at 1.5x to 2x speed so you can finish the lessons in a shorter time period. By the way, if you want help studying for your CAPM exam, I have a free gift for you. You can download my free CAPM exam practice question workbook at alvinthepm.com/ebook. It has practice questions covering every single domain in the CAPM exam. You don't want to miss this because you can start practicing today. So grab your free CAPM exam questions at alvinthepm.com/ebook. When it comes to exam prep books, there are actually only 2 that you really need. First is the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Get a hard copy version of this book because while you're watching your Udemy course or you're solving practice questions, you can highlight this book, insert stickies like I did, and just take notes inside of it. I personally like having a hard copy version because it's so much easier to read instead of having to read off of a computer screen. And for me, I don't like having to stare at a computer screen all day at work and then at home. So I'd rather have a physical copy to skim through. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition is very easy to read. it has quite a few graphics to help you understand many of the more complex concepts in project management. When I was studying for my CAPM exam, I had a much harder time understanding the biggest differences between Agile and predictive. So if you're like me and you need more of a walkthrough on what those aspects are, then I recommend reading through pages 35 through 50. The guide also has a really good visual to help you better understand earned value analysis on page 101. Highly recommend looking at figure 2-24 on page 101. Overall, the book is super thin and it should take you a few days to read through it cover to cover. The second book that you should read is the Agile Practice Guide. When I was planning to take my CAPM exam, I knew that I wanted to switch careers from engineering and then become a project manager. But the problem is I was weaker on the side of leading projects using the Agile framework. And since the exam covers 20% on Agile, I absolutely recommend reading the short guide to tighten the bolts and get a firm grasp on the differences between a predictive and an Agile project lifecycle. It teaches you pretty much everything you need to know about how Agile works, the structure of an Agile team, the roles and responsibilities of each person, and then the different Agile ceremonies, like a retrospective or a daily stand-up. This book, it's much more shorter than the PMBOK guide, and you can easily finish this in a few days. Before I reveal something bonus that could guarantee your success with passing the CAPM exam, drop me a comment down below. Do you plan on taking the CAPM exam this year? Let me know down below what you're struggling with, so I know you like and appreciate this kind of content. Now for some bonus reads. I bet you're a bit like me and you're treating the CAPM exam as a starting point in your career so you can advance yourself as a project manager like I did. I went from senior engineer to engineering project manager and eventually manager of project management. To solidify your foundations in project management, the first book I recommend to everyone is Project Management for the Unofficial Project Manager. There is a newer version of this, and I'll link it down below, and I have an older copy. By far, this is hands down the book that helped me master many of the basics in project management. I read it cover to cover in a few days, and it made it much more easier for me to learn the concepts from the Udemy course and the PMBOK guide. So highly recommend it. Now for me, when I was working as an engineer, I didn't have as strong of a background in Agile as I did in the predictive approach. And so I knew that Agile was my weakness. So I wanted to invest into a book that could help me learn the foundations in Scrum. And to this day, the one book that helped me master many of the nuances and those details of Scrum, which I will still refer back to as a project manager, is this one. It's called Essential Scrum by Kenneth Rubin. This is literally the practical hands-on guide to know everything there is to know about Scrum. So if you're new to Scrum or don't know anything about it, the author does a great job explaining the Agile principles and covers in detail the entire Scrum framework so you can understand each role of a Scrum Master, product owner, as well as user stories, backlog grooming, and estimation. It's all inside this book. It's a thick book, so if you do plan to get it, I recommend skimming through chapter 2 to get an overview of the Scrum framework, chapter 3 for the Agile principles, and then chapters 9 through 12 to better understand the product owner, Scrum Master, and developer roles. Again, I don't recommend reading this book cover to cover. Don't do that. Instead, look at the table of contents and skim through the chapters in the area that you're weak in, like the backlog, user stories, or estimation. I personally like having it as a reference because you're probably going to use it to refine your knowledge later on when you study for your PMP exam and other Agile certifications like the Professional Scrum Master or PMI ACP exam. Now, the third resource you need are practice questions. The most affordable resource that has the best practice questions to help you pass your CAPM exam is from Pocket Prep. Now I use Pocket Prep to pass my own CAPM exam above target in all domains. And I want to say it's one of the biggest reasons why I passed the exam. Pocket Prep has 1,000 study questions divided among all 4 domains of the CAPM exam content outline, so you know you're testing yourself on the most relevant topics. The best part about the app is that you can access this on your phone or your computer 24/7. So you can easily quiz yourself on the go when you're running errands or when you're waiting in line doing groceries. Let me show you real quickly what it looks like inside of Pocket Prep and why it's such a game changer. After you sign up, you'll have a daily question of the day that's delivered right to you. So you can test yourself first thing in the morning, And when you answer each question, Pocket Prep even gives you a very detailed explanation. It even includes a reference to the PMBOK guide so you can dig even deeper. The other thing that I love about Pocket Prep is that it has so many ways to study efficiently so we can focus on our weaknesses. You quiz yourself in 5 different ways. Quick 10 questions, a timed quiz, weakest subject, questions you've missed previously, or if you want to build your own quiz covering these different domains. Now let's say that you choose to build your own quiz. You can specify which subject and how many questions to test yourself. In my example on the screen, I'm picking questions from the business analysis framework. Once you click on Start Quiz, you'll immediately be shown the question with the answer choices. It's very user-friendly to use Pocket Prep, and you can see right away whether you score the question correctly or incorrectly as you go through the questions. What's even better about Pocket Prep is that it keeps a score of how well you're performing in each domain, so you know where to focus your studying on, your strengths and your weaknesses. In terms of pricing, Pocket Prep is extremely affordable. It costs less than $20 for a 1-month subscription at the time of this recording. Since it's probably going to take you up to 12 weeks to study for your CAPM exam, I recommend getting the 3-month option that I'm showing on the screen. That way, you're saving 20% off your purchase. It's a great deal, and I highly recommend signing up using my link down below before they increase their pricing in the future. Now, if you want to practice using a CAPM exam simulator, then the best resource you should use is Pass the CAPM Exam Simulator. When I was studying for my CAPM exam, I practiced Pocket Prep's questions during the weekdays. And then on the weekend, I would take practice exam simulators by using Prepcast. Both these resources help develop my mindset of solving project management questions and testing what I've learned. The reason that I recommend Prepcast is that it trains you to take computer simulated questions over a time period of 3 hours. To this date, this is by far the best simulator I have ever used, and it's well worth the investment. Prepcast gives you very comprehensive and very detailed step-by-step answer breakdowns so you can quickly see why certain answers are correct and which ones are incorrect. And after you take a practice exam simulator, you can review your performance with your test results and see which answers you scored correctly or incorrectly. You also get an email that shows your performance and how you scored for every single domain, so you can just dig deeper and know which area to focus on more. The Prepcast CAPM Exam Simulator has 3 full-length practice exams with 450 questions, so you can practice as if you're under actual exam conditions. And there's even a separate quiz pool that has 120 questions, so you can dig deeper into any topic with targeted quizzes to focus on your weak points and strengthen them even more. Now, what I love about Prepcast is that they do a really good job with mimicking the testing software. For example, you can mark your answers to review for later, and you can go back to a grid to see all the questions you marked for review if you're not sure about them. When you're taking your practice quiz or exam simulator, there's also a timer on the screen so you can see how well you're pacing yourself. From my experience taking the actual exam at a testing center, both of these features are very similar to the actual testing software on the day of your exam. And for me, that was a game-changing feature because it prepared my mindset for having to answer 150 questions over a grueling 3 hours. It doesn't seem like a lot of time, but let me tell you, when you're answering questions one after the other, your mind gets tired. And by using Prepcast, you're training your mind and your physical body to get through the 3-hour marathon of just solving questions. I personally use it, and I only recommend things that I've used, and it's one of the factors that helped me score above target in all domains. To start practicing questions for your CAPM exam, please watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next video.